Hi, everyone, and warmly welcome to our podcast, An Inclusive Labour Market, with us at Mitt Liv, and our role models that will join us for talks about diversity and inclusion. And the purpose of this interview series is to get behind the scenes and learn more about diversity and inclusion out from a CEO perspective. So you will have the chance to meet some amazing CEOs in some of the largest companies and get their view on why D&I and how walk the talk. But for you who doesn't know much about us, we have been around with Mitt Liv since we founded it in 2008. And our vision is to work for an inclusive society and a labor market that values diversity. And if you want to learn more about us, you can visit our homepage, mittliv.com. But the most important today, we have the big honor to have a true role model joining us for this conversation, who knows a lot about diversity and inclusion, we hope, for a company, and also great leadership as CEO for Duni Group. So warmly welcome, Robert Dackeskog.
Thank you, Sofia. Yeah, great.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm great. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah.
That's
New year. Yeah.
Yeah, new year, new chapter.
New chapter.
Yeah. But since we have been working together for a while now, it always hits me that you are so positive and high on energy, Robert. How do you do that? Has it always been like that?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just me, I think. But I think in general, I've always been quite positive view of the world, I think, and I don't think I have any really bad days. I think everything is relative in a way. So if you put things in a perspective, I think, I'm quite fortunate. And I think we who live in Sweden are quite fortunate. So I don't think it's so much to dwell about in a way and focus on the future in a way. So I think that's a little bit me, I think. And
That's so inspiring. But does that help you think, even more through big challenges? To have a positive view?
I think so. I think sometimes maybe it's you put things too easy maybe in a way. It's not so important, but I think it's good to have that mindset that everything is relative in a way. There are things that are tougher in a way, and if and it's always someone else in a way who has a tougher time. And I think and I think this topic and Mitt Liv put things in a perspective. I have a mentee now in Mitt Liv who is from Ukraine, so that puts things definitely in a different perspective every day. So
it does.
So I think that's important to think around that. Don't there's no bad days actually.
No, that's lovely, and it's so important to put things in its perspectives. But I'm really curious about what are the big milestones in life that brought you to Duni Group, and why are you where you are today, you think, as CEO or leader for Duni Group?
Yeah, it's a hard question, but I think, for me, I think people is probably the main thing. I think who you in a way surround you with and talk to and integrate and interact with new people and so on. I think that has been an important part, and being a bit open to new things, just jump on things sometimes. And of course faith is a big part as well. I came down from Gothenburg to Skåne and thought I would be there for maybe a year or two, and then I'm still here in Skåne, and so I think faith is also, of course, one part, but I think people in general is probably the main thing, that you surround you. And I think there's a saying, choose your manager in a way. I think that's something I lived by in a way. It's good to think also mentally around that actually, and also that I think I have pretty strong values in certain areas, and I have an integrity, and I take a stand. And if I don't feel that these are the values, I do something else in life. I think that has brought me to where I am today, I think.
But what is important? What has been important for you with your manager? What kind of behaviors or values?
I think openness and fairness, and I think that I probably will answer that. I will talk about what's my values in a way, but I think that's key for me, and also have maybe a long-term thinking of where do we want to go, and not just short term. So I think that's important for me.
So is any of those one of your most important values, or what is your most important value as a leader?
Yeah, I think it's always hard. You probably have a lot of them, but I think for me, fairness is a quite important one, and to be fair. And I think that's both good and bad for me, because it triggers me when also sometimes when it's not, of course. But that drives me a lot, I think, in that way. And I think yeah, that's maybe the main one. But of course, I think with fairness, it comes a lot, I think, to transparency. It comes with engagement and passion and everything. And of course, passion is also an important value for me, which has brought me maybe where I am, and how I behave and talk to people in general.
But you can really, I mean, feel that with you. But I'm also curious, how do you link diversity and inclusion to your path or to your choices in life? Why is that so important for you, and where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it's, in a way, it's basics, and it should be like a natural behavior in a way to be fair in a way, and then include other people and be open to new things. I think that links it to D&I think, and it should be a natural behavior for me, that according to my values. Then of course other people can have other values in the world, as we know.
Yeah.
But I think that's maybe it should be a natural behavior, I think, to include others, and be open to new things, and meet new other people and so on, and think that diversity then actually is a real opportunity for everyone, and drives the word forward in a way.
But there are so many buzzwords, and many I meet are still very skeptical about what do you really mean with diversity and inclusion, and where are the gaps, and how do we really make this happen. But if you would you like to share some about Duni Group's like vision around diversity and inclusion, and the reality today, and where are the big gaps, and how do we make progress at Duni Group within this?
I think it's hard, when you get these questions, it's easy to get a lot of buzzwords in a way, and on high level. But I think it's going back to be, it's basic in a way, to be fairness in life. And I think I think for me, if you take that, I actually been a football coach for my daughter's football team for 7 years, and I think what drew me there was this fairness part in a way. For she's women in football has been maybe meeting a lot of skepticism sometimes, and I met a lot of bad stuff during those years, and that has driven me. And I think that's also for a company like Duni, fairness is the most important thing. But in the long term, I think for us also, to survive as a company in the next 100 years or whatever, we need to have the right competences in the company, the right things for the future. And there, I think we need new networks and everything. So I think here we have been on a path, I think, and all companies are probably find new networks to actually be able to find new competencies and use the abilities in the world. And I think that's one of the things now that is really hard actually to find the right competencies in the company. So we need to open up more, we need to find new ways. And I think companies has a huge part in this. It can't just be the politicians or the governments that drives this. I think the companies has a much bigger part in this, to find the right competencies, and also that help people who, for example, comes to Sweden. How do they get into the network in Sweden? How to get a job, even if you have a fantastic CV, for example. I think that's what's great with Mitt Liv. I think that's one of the part we used in Duni, that we work with you and got a lot of help there. So that's one big thing.
And what has been your biggest insights as a mentor, I have to ask?
Yeah, that's been a lot of insights. I think that was really fantastic, actually. And I've been mentor for three persons now, and very different as well. So that's also good to maybe not just be one person. But that has been really open up a lot of things. I think I was astonished in a way when you have people that have a fantastic history, they have competencies, experiences, everything, and they have a really hard time actually just to navigate into the system in Sweden, how to get into jobs and everything. And that has been a really eye-opener and really question how we work as a company, how I see things, how do we recruit? I think that where it comes to, in a way, what kind of processes do we use and so on. So I think that has been a very huge learning for me, definitely.
Yeah. And how important do you think it is as CEO to send those signals of the importance of diversity and inclusion as a role model?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I think one thing, I do it for myself as well. I think it's really developing me and really interesting, and I think it's fun and it gives me a lot of energy as well in this. But I think it's important that of course the CEO in a company stands here and shows where to go in a way and so on, and what's the right values, and I need to do the right things in that sense and show that I mean what we say in a way. And I think that's self-explaining in a way, but that's of course important, and that you start to drive things. You put also resources into these kind of things, and you inspire also rest of organizations, for example, to become a mentor. That's also an important thing. And I think in Duni we're working with this for a couple of years now, and we have had a lot of people in the company has been a mentor, so that's great. And we also got in people through this in that we employed, so it's been fantastic. And I can just really encourage people to do the same thing. Actually,
that's so cool. But it's been a big progress when it comes to how we look at diversity and inclusion, and what part of organization this has been organized, and who has been responsible for diversity and inclusion within the organization. And 2008 it was only like a small CSR matter somewhere out in the organization, but today we work with you and other CEOs and boards and investors. So I'm just curious about, what do you see in the future that pushes this topic so hard, and are there any specific trends or forces out there that is crucial for you to embrace as a company, and specifically for Duni?
I think it's if you go back a bit, I think it's part of the culture in a way. What do we want to be as a company? And we put down a purpose for the company that we want to inspire the world to give more than we take, and of course we are in an industry where we want the people to enjoy good food, mood, and well-being and togetherness, and that's for today and also for generations to come then. So I think this is what it all comes down to, and how do we achieve that, and how, for me it's important to have a purpose every day when I go to work in a way, so we discuss that a lot. And within all this then, of course, these questions are so important for us to achieve that. Actually, how do we achieve this? We want to give more than we take to the world, and there's so many aspects in this. So this is the driving. So I think I like that you put the stake in the ground. Maybe then we said 2030 we're going to achieve a lot of things. This is where we're going. So we have a straight way here where we're going. I think that's key for us as a company. And then of course we've done a lot of great things, and I think it's all about people, of course, and that people feels that they want to do this, engage in this. And I think we have fantastic people. We have started to do an inclusion board now, and people are signing up, of course, and ambassadors in this and discussing it and so on. And we are using winning temp, for example, to measure discrimination and bullying and so those kind of things. But I don't think it's so much about you have a KPI number or index. No. Actually, it's more about having the discussion and actually highlight things. So finding a tool where you get things popping up in a way that people feel something, and I don't like this, and I feel discriminated or whatever it is. That's when it comes to the managers, of course. So we need to train the leaders in this and all that. So I think this has been really important for Duni to drive.
Yeah, and you talk some now about the tools you use. How do you, I think many are curious about this diversity board that you are planning for, or you already set it up?
We set it up exactly and started, and it's a team from from many different countries. And we are an international company. And I know when we started to talk around the CEO's engagement, that we found this team in a way that worked on this. That my in a way, thinking around how do you act like an international company? You are in 24 countries, for example, and how do you manage this? And that's an interesting thing, of course, because we have different cultures and so on. And I think a lot of companies just have maybe, how do you include everyone you have in your company today in a way, and then start to drive from there. So that was one of my things in the beginning. I was thinking a lot around, I know, and
that has been one of the biggest challenges, since the legislation is so different in different countries, and the cultures in different countries, and so on. But are there any other challenges you think, or that you have faced starting this?
Challenges, of course, in this. I think the main one is maybe get people in a way aware of these things, because in a way it's basics, it's natural. I mean, how do you treat people in a way? If you want to treat people in a good way, you want to include people, you will want to be diverse. I mean, most people want to, at least. And but I think but it's more about thinking around it every day, I think. And then you have to be creating tools, maybe integrate forums, maybe. So I think this Duni Inclusion Board is a great tool where we include a lot of people from different functions in the company and countries, and and that's a really good driver in that, and starts and of course puts a lot. How do we measure it? How do we follow up? And how do we work with it? How do we create training? So I think this Duni Inclusion Board is starting now to put up that. We're going to train a lot of people. We set a target next year, 50% of the manager will be trained in DNI next year, and in 24 all managers should have been trained in this. So there are certain things that of course you can do, but I think that's a really good thing to do, because I think the interaction is the most important thing, that you get people together in a way in rooms or teams nowadays or whatever it is. You get people from different. I think that's a really fantastic lever, because the feedback we get when people are meeting from different areas, functionalities, countries, whatever, it's a great energy boost for everyone, and also of course developing for everyone. So that's a really good thing.
That's amazing. And also that makes me very curious about, because we meet, not everyone is a yes sayer, so we meet a lot of no sayers, and I guess there are some no sayers within Duni Group too. It's everywhere. But what do you think are the keys to bring the no sayers over? Or do you have to do that? Do you have to accept that there will always be no sayers? Or how do you make sure to bring those over on the positive side?
Are there no sayers?
I hope not.
Now I'm very positive, and open. But I have, it's strange to be a no sayer to in a way say I want to include someone else. I take the example. It's great actually. I have these with Malin, who's our people and culture responsible here, and so on. We have lunch meetings with people who wants to sign up in a way, and meet with me and Malin and so on to discuss things. And it's interesting. We are, I mean, in the office we are a lot of nationalities here in Sweden, for example. But there came up a thing about feeling included. If you are two Swedish people standing at the coffee machine, and the third one doesn't speak Swedish, and our language is English. But of course, if you're two Swedes, you speak Swedish. Of course, it's natural to talk about the weather or whatever. But that was really good, because I felt, that's really, I mean, these kind of small things. How do you include people? Actually, it's just, if you stand there, change to English then and say, how do you do today? You're at the coffee. I think, and if you start thinking about those things, then you can't be no sayer. I think it's so simple.
Because you don't want to be the one standing there not being included. So
no, exactly. And people feel a bit, I won't interrupt someone and so on. So I think that's also, and there you need a culture that saying just interrupt in a way. It's fine to interrupt. That's also maybe a learning thing in a company, I think.
And it's so important to find those hands-on everyday examples to make sure people can really understand it out from their own perspective.
And it's interesting also. I mean, you have over Christmas, some people don't celebrate Christmas, of course, and then you have discussion around. That's fantastic. It's so interesting. You get
It
a lot of
is.
energy around that actually. So I think, yeah, I
And
think,
that is the hard one, because how do you manage to, I mean, also celebrate and keep traditions
yeah,
that brings diversity also to the
yeah,
table, that we do things in different
yeah,
ways.
that's a tough one. Yeah,
So it's also a
yeah,
complicated thing actually.
yeah.
But I also know that many are curious about how to start the journey. What would you say is the like very first step at all to start the journey with diversity and inclusion, and as a CEO and as a company?
Yeah, and actually, yeah, in I think we started with you actually a bit. I think that was a little bit a kickoff. So I think that's a good start to use you, or yeah, whatever in a way. But I think Mitt Liv is fantastic and you are great. So it's I think it's a good start to have maybe, yeah, a kickoff in a way with the management team in a way, and start discussing things. And it's a journey. I think don't feel too stressed about it. I think take it and be open. I think transparency. I mean, talk about things, and it's not easy. There's no really answers on everything. So it's more about, yeah, taking step by step in a way. I think it's really good to maybe then start to talk about the organization and also discuss a bit around it, and maybe get some, if you get some ambassadors in a way who raise their hand and say, I really want to, yeah, this is something I want to engage in, and so on, in different areas of the company. I think that's also a good thing. I think the most important thing is maybe become a mentor. I think for someone that is one of the best things I've done actually. So I think that helps definitely. And I think especially if you have a lot of people in the company who has been a mentor, that also, of course, that's a huge lever in a way to get things going. So that I definitely recommend. So the ones who haven't signed up to be a mentor should do that now.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah.
We
but
didn't
I
plan
have to
for
say
this.
honestly, it's giving me so much. So that's the thing.
I must say, I've been around now for 50 years, but it's still the energy in Mitt Liv, because you get so humble of the privileges being born in a country and understand the codes and networking processes and everything. But I'm also curious then about, so many organizations want to connect the business benefits to diversity and inclusion. Have you seen any hands-on examples since you started this journey to the business benefits?
Yeah, I'm a bit divided there, because in one thing I think that should be natural, so it should be part of everything in a way. We should, in a way, we should be even need to discuss it in a way. It should be natural of the cultures of everything, but we need to, of course. But I think in general, if you're working together with other people who have different opinions, maybe different experiences, different cultures, they're coming from a different angle of things. So if you work in a project, for example, and I think we have a lot of those examples in Duni, that we've been working cross-functional from areas and people coming in from here and there, that helps. And I think it's more about maybe I feel it helps the way, what would you say, the culture in the company, how we act, how we work, and so on, and how we see things. I think it expands people' view in a way. And it's always hard to measure a number. I think we are in the society from the 1920s has been very number driven in a way. It's been this, you measure. But I think it's what you do, and then the numbers will come in a way. So I think, of course, you have targets and things, but it's more the how that's important. I think start working with these things. I think that's the key in a way.
That's cool. And we also always get a question from LinkedIn. Our followers there, and one wanted us to ask that if you have started this work like 10 years ago, where would you have been today, you think, and where will you be 10 years if you succeed?
I think, I mean, if we had started earlier, of course we should have been and done the same things. We should have been 10 years earlier in a way with that. But also maybe it's also, timing is one thing as well, of course, and how the society works and so on also. but I think from 10 years and onwards, we will, and I think the important thing for us, I think if you move more down to maybe how do Duni survive in the next 100 years, how do we cope in the world, I think this is a really important topic for us to how do we get competence in Sweden, in our company all over in a way, and I think today we see that we need to look for people it's fantastic in a way because we are hiring people from India coming to Sweden, for example. We're hiring a person in Scotland, but I think that person is from India, actually lives in Scotland, will work for us. And so the world is changing so much. So I think this diversity, it's a no-brainer in a way. We need to be, So it's all about that as well, I think, as a company. And I think if you are international or global company, that's the way we've been working. Of course, there are forces in the world that wants it to be more protective, but I think, I still believe in that we are a global world, and that will be the winning path in the future. So I think that's I think why we will be in a different place in 10 years, definitely.
Yeah, and what you do now is to create the right prerequisites to embrace this future.
Yeah.
But what do you think will happen with the companies that do not take on this journey, that do as they always done?
I think they will have a hard time to attract people, actually, in general. You have to. I can see that with Duni. I think we maybe we're not the most sexy company in the world, but we have a path where we're going. We will have a vision. We want to go. We want to change some stuff, and we are on a transformation journey here. So and that's really interesting for a lot of people from many places in a way. And since we want to do this transformation, we need to think differently. We need to change the way we work. We need definitely to change the way we recruit, I think. There I discuss sometimes with the headhunting agency and so on. They need to change, because it's interesting, if someone calls you, do you have a tip on a person, then of course you're in your network. And I think that's one thing I learned from being a mentor here, that I mean, the networks are very tight in a way, of course, and it's so simple. And in a way, you want, we need someone fast in a way. And of course, you don't think, great. And then you exclude a lot of options in a way, and competences.
Yeah.
So, and since it's actually a war, I mean, it's a war around competencies in the future. So I think that's.
And how does that makes me curious about how does the recruitment companies respond to that? Are they open to expand
I think
their
they
networks?
also start to think around their business model in a way, and how they work, of course. And of course, if you just work in a little pool of competence, then it's a problem for the future for them as well, I think. So that will be an interesting way.
Yeah. So if you would choose one key to other CEOs to start this journey, what would that be?
Start with Mitt Liv, maybe. That's a good start. No, but honestly, it's a really good way to bring in someone from outside. It doesn't have maybe to be Mitt Liv, but someone in the management team. I think start there in a way.
Yeah.
I think that's key, and then I think it's don't be scared in a way. Talk around things. And you can't go wrong. I think there's no wrongs. You test, try, fail in a way, fine. It's I think sometimes we've been too scared, maybe. You've been tiptoeing a little bit around things. And that's I think we did, maybe this wasn't the best choice maybe to do, but we learn, and then we move on in a way.
I love that. That is a very good key, I think, because there is a lot of political correctness around this topic, and sometimes you prefer not to do anything than start the journey and be open to fail. So that's a really, really good tip. And transparency, I think. We live in a time where we cannot hide anything anymore. So we need to create transparent processes and be open that not everyone is perfect, but we do our best to get there together. So I love that, Robert. Thank you so much, Robert. And keep shining. And I love to wrap this up by saying that we have to be the change we want to see in the world. So let's keep shining. And thank you so much. And good luck with your diversity and inclusion progress for Duni Group.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.